All right, it's official. Thank you again for coming to our Lunch and Learn today. We've titled it New Year, New Beginning. This is our last Lunch and Learn for this year's campaign. I really can't believe it, but I did try to put something together special with help from my team. I'm here today with some lovely panelists, and Susie is helping out in the chat for all of the fun that we have planned for today. So, 2021 has come and gone, and somehow I'm still wondering about what happened to 2020. But certainly, again, thank you to everyone that's attending. Thank you all for all of your hard work this season. Checking in with your colleagues, navigating those changes and pivots from, working from home to office to back at home. Certainly appreciate everything that you've done for the CFC in the midst of our ongoing pandemic and et cetera. So, I just wanted to have this time to enjoy our time together. We have, like I said, we have some amazing panelists who will be presenting, and then at the end we'll be having a little trivia game and lots of prizes to win. So I hope you can stay till the end if you can. So in the chat box, please put your name, your agency, and your city. For those who, any of you on the phone, please send me an email. This is not only important to know who's in our audience, but so I can, send you that prize you're going to win. So as I said, Susie's going to be monitoring the chat and helping me navigate this technical fun that we call Zoom. So thank you again for everyone that's been with me since my first Lunch and Learn. I've truly enjoyed each one with all the technical glitches and beyond. So this week is Choose Your Own Cause. So I wanted to start, the new year celebrating hope, resilience, and strength, and have selected my two favorite causes, which are mental wellness and food and nutrition. So in looking ahead to this year, we recognize the importance of mental wellness, and certainly food and nutrition plays a huge role in that. So, as you can see here, we have two impact statements of, how even small amounts can make such a huge difference. And certainly keeping in mind that, mental health matters. Is just as important as physical health, according to National Institute of Mental Health, and can certainly be overlooked at times because people are concealing it with smiles and routine motions. But certainly these donations help tackle stigmas against mental wellness and health issues, prioritizes these important programs, provides resources, and offers treatment efforts. And then, as I said, with food and nutrition, it's a big part of mental wellness, and having enough food isn't just more than feeling full and satisfied. It plays a huge role in your overall health. So, a couple numbers from our CFC website. Right now, 1 in 7 babies are born with a low birth rate. Birth weight in developing countries, this is largely due to poor nutrition during pregnancy. And even in the US, 3.7 million babies were born with low birth weights in 2019. So, and it's not just about having enough to eat, it's eating the right things, the right food. So in the US, 19% of young people aged 2 to 19 years and 40% of adults have obesity, which can put them at risk for heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers. But fortunately, many of these illnesses are preventable, and your donation helps support local food programs in our communities here and around the world. So let's learn how your donation changes lives in our communities with our fabulous charities with us today. So first, we have Scott Faulkner. He's representing Shepherd University's PBM Foundation. I'll have him say it for me, the long version. I didn't practice ahead of time. We also have Zandy McKinley from World Central Kitchen, Emily Castell de Silve from Prisoner Visitation and Support. Thank you. Perpetua Gator from the Thomas Gator Foundation, and joining us, Donna Cranston from Defenders of Freedom. So if you could all introduce yourselves and the organization you all are representing, we look forward to hearing more about your organization. And first, let's start with Perpetua.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Perpetua, and I represent the Thomas Gator Foundation. We are a national and international organization, and just for your information, we are all volunteers in our team. Our CFC code is 77406. Sorry, Leah, next slide, please. Thank you. So our mission is education and health. That's our main focus. Health and education combined. As you can see in the photo, we provided school supplies to a school in Tennessee where over 30% live in homeless shelters. And the next photo is in the Bahamas, where we participated in a medical mission for health. Next slide, please. During this pandemic, all of us are affected by this devastating disease. Thomas Gator Foundation, we were able to provide food and support to our frontline workers, who are our heroes. The healthcare workers, grocery and store workers, restaurant workers, our postal workers, garbage disposal workers as well, and so forth. Next slide, please. Some of these girls are from the homeless shelters, and some of these girls we were able to sponsor to visit state college tours, like what we call the college tour. We just want to let them know that being homeless is not the end of it. They can go to a higher education, better themselves, and become successful citizens for themselves, for their families, as well as for their communities. Next slide, please. So today I wish to highlight our project in South Dakota, where we learned about the high rate of suicide among the teenagers in one of the Indian reservations in Pine Ridge. So we were able to establish Spirit Award, an award that we named after this little girl with our shirt on, giving the awards to the recipients, to a woman and a man during their graduation, high school graduation. The award is to kind of divert their attention, not to suicide, but to an award. It's not much, but it's something to kind of divert their attention, not to suicide, but to an award for students who have overcome obstacles in life. For instance, this young girl's mother attempted suicide. Thank God she survived, and now she's taking college courses online on her own pace. And we just want to kind of make a difference. If we can save one or two souls, we feel like that's well worth the effort. We didn't stop there, actually. We established need-based scholarships for college for them as well, if they wish 2 years or 4-year course. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we are a national and international organization. During the previous Haiti earthquake that devastated the country, we were able to provide medical and disaster relief, as well as food and water to our brothers and sisters over there. Next slide, please. So our volunteer team had the opportunity also to distribute food and water to our elderly in Vietnam. Next slide, please. As far as clean and safe water, this is actually in the Philippines where we discovered this clearly contaminated water tank where they get their drinking water. As you can see, as a show of appreciation, they even sent us a video. And this is a photo of the tank that made a difference for them. Performance increased, attendance increased, and health-wise, we were able to save lives just from a simple thing of changing water to clean and safe one. Next slide, please. So this is one of our favorite projects, Toy Drive for the homeless children. Actually, we were invited by one of our CFC campaign agencies where we used to campaign several years ago. And if you can just see the smiles on these kids, priceless. Next slide, please. So for health and education and national and international organization, this is in Nigeria where we participated in medical mission. And this actually in Virginia where we provided support to get these armbands and t-shirts for the students for a program called Choose to Be Kind. We feel like spreading kindness to everyone is one way of making this world a better place to live. Next slide, please. So, to all federal employees, retirees, workers, thank you for your continued support. Please remember, every gift, large or small, makes a huge difference. And as CFC says, CFC makes it easy for all of us to change the world. Thanks again for your time and attention. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Perpetua. And I really appreciate, the breadth and depth of all of your services, because it's certainly, important to reach so many areas of people's lives. So thank you so much for that. All right, next, let's have Scott from the PBM Foundation. And Scott has a video. So let me see. Wait, just one moment, please. All right, can you see the video? Amazing. All right.
I think you need to share your sounds, Leah.
So thank you, Leah, for showing the video. Can everyone hear me? Okay, super. So the photobiomodulation, as the brief video explained, we're all made up of like trillions of cells, and every cell in our body has mitochondria, which is sort of our energy battery within each cell. If you put red light and near infrared light and on the light spectrum into the body, it improves the functioning of cells. This was discovered back in 1967. What the PBM Foundation does, photobiomodulation, or PBM. I like to say peanut butter morsels for short. So PBM Foundation. What we do is promote research, we promote application throughout the world, but most specifically for West Virginia, because of Shepherd University and where we're based at Shepherd up here in the Panhandle, West Virginia benefits more from this red light therapy than any other place in the United States. We're working with the WVU hospital system, both in Morgantown and in Martinsburg, dealing with addiction and dealing with pain management, dealing with depression. We're also working with the VA hospital in Martinsburg, as well as VA hospitals across the country, dealing with PTSD, traumatic brain injury. As everyone knows, veteran suicide rates are horrible. We had 50 suicides last year in West Virginia among our veterans. So this red light therapy improves a person's state of mind, basically. And so we are working on, we have like about 191 clinical trials underway right now in the United States that are being funded by the NIH and blessed by the Food and Drug Administration. We work closely with the CDC as well on how opioids and pain can be alleviated with this red light therapy. We are working, of course, on, which means opioid use disorder. Mountaineer Recovery, which is one of the great rehab centers in West Virginia, is one of our other collaborators on this whole issue. So if you give to the CFC, and our number is 96542, 96542, you're helping trained nurses at Shepherd University, you're helping veterans at the veterans hospitals, you're helping people suffering from opioid use disorder at Mountaineer Recovery, you're helping people get over depression and traumatic brain injury at the WVU system. So this is what we do, and we hope you can help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Scott. And I'm sorry, Scott, I'm sorry to attendees about the audio issues, but I put the video in the chat, and certainly was a great video, and appreciate hearing more about the PBM Foundation. And so now I would love to go to Emily to speak about the prisoner visitation and support and their outreach. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emily Cashel de Silva. I'm here with Prisoner Visitation and Support. We are a volunteer visitation program to federal and military prisoners across the country. We have a 3-person staff and a over 300 person strong volunteer brigade. We visit at the over 122 federal and military facilities in the country. Now, our mission is to provide people that are incarcerated with regular face-to-face contact with somebody from the outside world. This is to help them cope with their life inside prison, support personal growth, and help them prepare for reentry into society. As of this morning, I double-checked, there are 157,000 people incarcerated in the federal system in this country. 98% are going to be released someday. So that means that we owe it to them to make an effort. We were founded in 1968 during the Vietnam War, and have grown from 8 visitors then to 308 visitors now. Our priority, we visit everybody, but our priority is to visit people who do not usually receive visits from family or friends, are in solitary confinement, are on death row, or are serving overly long sentences. For those that don't know, people in federal prison, the median sentence is about 10 years. I've never met anybody with less than 5. On a personal note, I visit at the Federal Detention Center here in Philadelphia, so I get to kind of see both sides of it. We also visit at the military prisons. The biggest military prisons we visit are in Miramar, which is California, and Fort Leavenworth, which is in Kansas. Sorry. So a lot of people, when they find out about PVS, they say, well, why? why do people need visits? So once you are in the federal system, you can be transferred anywhere all across the country. Like I said, there's over 122 facilities. If I were arrested here in Philadelphia, I could end up at a women's facility in Dublin, California. So people usually end up pretty far away from family and loved ones. And, this gives them a lifeline to the outside world. I'm really glad to be here. This is a super timely event because we are very much in need of visitors at FCI Morgantown in Morgantown, West Virginia, and FCC Hazleton in Brewston Mills, West Virginia. So if anybody is interested, we're always looking for new visitors. We have a pretty strict interview process. You have to go through a lot of training just because we hold our visitors to such a high standard. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Emily. And I have a follow-up question because you touched on it towards the end. So these visitors, is that volunteer or is that part of staff or both?
No, so all of our visitors are volunteers. I'm the only full-time staff member. We have 2 part-time staff members. We're here in Philadelphia. And then we have about 308 volunteer visitors across the country.
Yes, and for those attending today, remember, volunteer hours are part of CFC community. We know that federal employees are so generous. So please keep Emily in mind with the prisoner visitation and support. And certainly with our local locations of Morgantown and Allentown. So thank you so much, Emily. And now we'll move to World Central Kitchen. So Zandy, take it away.
Yeah, happy to. Got all these tough acts to follow. So many good causes. That's one of the things I love about these conversations is just getting to learn about the amazing work that people are doing in their communities. So just want to give a note of gratitude to my co-presenters today. Thank you guys for what you're doing. But happy to talk just a little bit about World Central Kitchen. So essentially, we like to think of ourselves as food first responders. So in times of disaster and crisis, both natural and man-made, what we seek to do through our organization is try to be some of, if not the first folks on the ground, providing direct food relief to impacted communities. What differentiates us from a lot of other great organizations that do similar work that we often partner with. So we're by no means like the only shop in town. We try to be really open and partnering with people because it's about food. That's kind of a basic thing that we all need. But one of the things that differentiates us is that we try to provide fresh, culturally appropriate, and locally sourced meals for these impacted communities. The ethos behind that is kind of 3-tiered. One, we want to do locally sourced, thinking that in times of crisis, communities not only need those immediate, supports of like food and, helping with recovery efforts, but also thinking about the economic impacts that has. If we're cooking tens of thousands of meals a day, we need a lot of produce and supplies to do that. By providing direct economic support to communities, that helps them in both the immediate and long-term recovery of those communities. And we also try to provide culturally appropriate meals. We are an international organization, which means that pretty much every community, every background across the world, we're going to come across it. And some of the beautiful things about different communities is that they have different culinary needs. In a Muslim community, you're not going to bring bacon or pork belly. And in some other places of the world, certain types of spices or things are familiar to folks. We think that's just the very least that we can do if people are dealing, with crises that most of us don't have to imagine. We can at least show up with something that's fresh and familiar to them. So that's kind of a high level approach. What I would love to do, because I think the work really just speaks for itself, is to quickly share with you all our recently released 2021 year in review video. This just shows all the places that we were, kind of shows kind of behind the scenes of our work. You'll get to see other amazing members of our team. And of course, you'll get to see our founder, Chef Jose Andres, who had the amazing idea after responding to the 2010 earthquake in Haiti, seeing all of these brilliant minds, doctors, lawyers, all these great people, had the idea of, well, where are the chefs? Chefs bring a level of expertise that could help to repair communities in times of disaster disaster. So I'll turn it over to him. Hopefully you guys will be able to see and hear the video. If not, just give me a holler.
We're going to bring a plate of food to as many people as we can, as quick as we can. And this is a very simple idea that can never ever be lost.
There's two, just in case.
I appreciate it, sir.
We are providing meals for all the first responders that are out here in DC, helping to keep the nation's capital safe.
We're here distributing hot meals to communities that have been impacted by the storm.
Over 10,000 meals a day here in Austin.
I am up on the east coast of St. Vincent. You can see from this car what's happening here.
We've got over 90 locations, lunch and dinner. Whatever the need is, we'll be there.
It goes to the doctors, it goes to the nursing staff, it goes to their housekeeping staff, and it goes to the staff who's working their ward.
إلا إني كمان بازدياد قادرة إني أساعد وأعطي الناس مش بس في وجبة الطبيخ تعبي وعرق جبيني إني مساعدة كمان إني أساهم وأساعد في الناس.
There is ongoing activity to clean up after the floods. There's no electricity in the area.
The amount of events happening from fires, hurricanes, has exponentially grown.
Trying to get food to folks that have been evacuated, to the fire crews and emergency workers that are working around the clock.
We had to help rebuild, and rebuild helping with things that were sustainable.
Our Central Kitchen will be coming here now for a few days, and then we keep finding other communities all around the different routes we take.
We are at the head of a motor taxi convoy that is full of hot meals, which we are going to be taking up into the mountains.
Our Central Kitchen will be here until we feel that the men and women of Louisiana are taken care of.
Thousands of individuals have come across from Mexico, families, children.
People don't leave their homes unless they absolutely have to.
This volcano is super active.
Take a look here at all this destruction.
There's so many things you're thinking of when something like this happens, and that's definitely a need that you need met, water and food.
Out of every bad moment, you hope that something good happens.
That fell from the sky.
Yeah.
I want everyone to be happy, be safe, have healthy foods and take care of themselves. We want to just pass this moment, this tough moment, you know. I want a happy world again.
Wherever there's a fight so that hungry people may eat, we will be there.
Appreciate everyone. Bearing with me as we got through that video, but I think that quote at the end from our volunteer Rima just says it all. What we seek to do as an organization is that wherever there is a fight so that hungry people may eat, we'll do our best to be there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was certainly a powerful video. I certainly appreciated the quote, out of every bad moment, you hope that something good happens. And I really think, you know, in this moment that we're all, in the season that we're in, that's really, really great. So thank you. And Zandy, since we have you, we'll pivot to our question with you first. So put you towards the end and then on the spot at the beginning. So thank you in advance for that. But, beyond financial contributions, and we've spoken a little bit about volunteering. I'm happy to hear about any other volunteering opportunities of anyone on the panel. But beyond that, what are some specific ways that those here today and watching later can make a difference and support your organization?
Yeah, absolutely happy to touch a little bit on that. I will say, like, volunteering is such a big part of what we do as an organization. Despite like all those different places that you saw in that video, we're a relatively small team. There's about 65, maybe pushing up on 70 people in our organization. And that includes like operations and admin, myself, in the donor relations department. So we're a relatively small organization for the amount of places that we go. Volunteering is such a huge part of that. And particularly in our ethos of wanting to invite the community in, because communities know how to feed themselves. They know what they like, they know what they need. That's such a critical part of what we're doing. So wherever we're showing up that is in your area, we would love to have folks volunteering. And I'll share the link where you can register for our volunteer corps, towards the end of our conversation today. So definitely just keep an eye out, register to volunteer. You can sign up both by geographic area and also any interests or skills. We have a lot of different programs in a lot of different places. So if you're really passionate about food insecurity in Puerto Rico, we have programs for that. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But I would say really 3 high-level things that folks can do outside of monetary donations or time is, one, just spread the word, engage with us on social media. A lot of times, especially for our international activations, and especially for those that like aren't in the news or aren't like a sexy place for people to be, it can actually be a little bit of a challenge just to build some momentum and letting people know that we are activating and responding in a place. The work that we're doing to try to feed and support communities in their greatest times of need. So I would say just like keeping an eye on our social media. If it moves you, if it's something that's relevant to you, just doing that share, doing that like, those things really make such a big impact in just helping to amplify the message of what we're doing in communities and how we're showing up. Another really, really key piece for us is supporting local restaurants. That is actually a huge part of the network of our work and something that came out of our pandemic response. We try to go and, like I said, be some of the first folks on the ground, but when there's a pandemic, and especially towards the beginning, that's not the time that you want, untold volunteers breathing on food, delivering food to vulnerable communities, that type of thing. But one of the things that separated COVID from our other responses is that the infrastructure was still there. Restaurants were still there. We have relied so heavily on our restaurant partners for our pandemic feeding efforts to be able to support and continue to provide meals for communities. And again, thinking about that economic impact in communities. Through our COVID relief and response, we have been able to reinvest over $162 million into communities across the United States. But making sure that those restaurants are still in communities is a really big part of that work. We try to prioritize minority-owned, women-owned restaurants, and we can't tell you the stories of just the challenges that they faced even before the pandemic of, wanting to be present in their communities. So just try to buy and shop local as much as you can. 1, it's great for your community, but 2, that also really helps us to do our work if we can connect with those restaurants. And I would say 3, another idea that we're really trying to get folks excited about this year is hosting a fundraiser. We have a number of opportunities, whether online or in person, although I hope you're not doing big in-person events because COVID. But whether it's through your job or through doing something that you love, there's a number of opportunities to just, like I said, raise some awareness on what we're doing. And there's no amount too big or small. Like for that COVID feeding program, $10 can provide a meal to somebody that might not otherwise have it. For our international relief activations, $3 or $5 can provide a meal for somebody that might not otherwise eat that day. So just really thinking about how you can get more involved in the food ecosystem and just following along with our story are really great things that you can do to stay involved and support World Central Kitchen.
Great, thank you. And remember, for those listening, that if you do plan to volunteer, log on to givecfc.org and include those hours in the portal, and some great action items from Zandy. So let's go to Perpetua. What would you say are some specific ways that donors can make a difference and support your organization?
Beyond monetary funds and volunteering, as Sandy had mentioned, word of mouth is great. Spread the word to your friends, families, colleagues. Tell them to go to our website, go to each other's website, see what you're passionate about. What's the cause that kind of hit you and hit your pockets as well. And another way is share your knowledge and skills. Let me give you an example. We have a family friend who loves to sew and crochet. She heard about our involvement with homeless kids and families. And believe it or not, she designed and sewed t-shirts for kids, as well as she crocheted infant apparels, hoodies, shoes, sweaters. It was awesome, very inspiring. You can actually check our website. You'll see the shirts that she had made for the kids. Another way is, you all know of anyone who writes grants? Volunteer to write grants, especially for our foundation. We are quite short on that. I mean, writing grants for a foundation is awesome. We have no idea how to start with that. So please, if you know of anyone, send them our way, send an email, connect with us. We would really appreciate it. Little things like, if you check our website, we really have quite a few different ways to give, like being, if you shop at Amazon, we are at Amazon Smile. Every penny counts. Every time you buy something under our foundation or each other's foundation here, they'll give certain percentage to your foundation. As I mentioned, every penny counts. Any kind of fundraising like bake sale, a golf tournament, maybe even like a tennis match for high schoolers or even juniors. Plenty of ways to do that. And if you, as I mentioned, if you check our website, yes, we do have different ways of donating as well, not just money or volunteering. So thank you in advance.
Great, thank you, Perpetua. And that's a great call of like any grant writers out there. Please keep the Thomas Gator Foundation.
Yes, please.
That's great, because yeah, it's time consuming and you have limited resources. So thank you for that, and yeah, thank you for additionally providing us with options and ideas about how to volunteer, because I like broadening the question, and we're always kind of struggling with time, but that's great to also include volunteer opportunities. So Emily, we talked a little bit about your volunteer-based program, but what are other ways that donors can support your organization and make a difference?
Definitely ditto to everything that everybody else said, but volunteering is huge. Even if you can't volunteer with us, I think it's really easy to forget about people that have been removed from society and just kind of think, oh, out of sight, out of mind. But volunteer with any other kind of organization. There's books through bars organizations. There's groups that just do letter writing, where you're really focused on in-person visitation. And that's a big ask for some people. And that's something that not everybody can commit to. You have to be able to show up every single month for this person. So I would say volunteer wherever you can. With us is great, but wherever you can. Donations are huge for us. We don't get any kind of government grants. Over about 90% of our donations are from individual donors. So that's always huge for us. Follow us on social media. We've been around for over 50 years, but we're kind of just getting into the swing of things on social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. And I guess just on a personal note, have hard conversations with people. There's an old Brian Stevenson quote that I kind of live by, and it's each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. So, you know, if you're ever having a conversation with somebody and they say, oh, you know, you visit people in prison, you write to people in prison, I think that's a good time to open up a dialogue. Thank you.
Some great ideas and appreciate that. And rounding us out last, but certainly not least, Scott, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the main thing is to make sure that anyone you know, a loved one, a friend, anyone who is in any kind of pain, any kind of depression, any kind of psychological condition, make them understand and make them aware of photobiomodulation. And you can go to our website. We have a Facebook page as well. You know, follow us on those pages. But the main thing is that what we want to make PBM a mainstream option for anyone who is in need. I like to use an example. Everyone knows what an MRI is, magnetic resonance imagery. And you go into a doctor's office and they say, you need an MRI, and you go, okay. And the insurance company goes, okay. We want to have PBM be the same way, where a doctor is diagnosing you in some way, shape, or manner, and says, because as part of your treatment, we're going to do PBM. And you go, okay. And the insurance company goes, okay. We're a long way from that. And so the main thing is for volunteers, we're looking for outreach to stakeholder groups. I mean, we work very closely with groups like the U.S. Pain Foundation. We work with the American Cancer Society, because photobiomodulation actually addresses and manages the side effects of chemotherapy. So we have PBM as a major focus and protocol within St. Jude, within, again, the WVU hospital system here in West Virginia. University of Pittsburgh Medical Center has treated over 2,500 cancer patients to manage their pain and reduce their side effects from their cancer treatments. So everybody is in need. 60% of Americans have some form of pain. Many, like 38%, have chronic pain, especially those above the age of 65. This manages pain. It doesn't simply mask the side effects like you're taking a pill or something, or an opioid. That's why PBM has been addressed. In fact, it's even been recommended by the CDC. It's been recommended by the Journal of the American Medical Association as a major option for people with pain. So get the word out. Share our material on the website. Share it, because the website has extensive research papers from some of the leading scientists from around the world dealing with how this is applied. Over 100, as we said on the video, over 100 million treatments have occurred worldwide in just the last 30 years without any serious side effects being documented. So you can't say that even about aspirin. So PBM is the future of medicine. PBM is the option that people should be pursuing, and volunteers can help us get the word out. Volunteer, and anyone here listening to this call, anyone who has a family member in need, make them aware of PBM, make their providers, healthcare providers, aware of PBM, and use this amazing technology to help people improve, save their lives and improve their lives.
Well, and you all have given, you know, great messages and great things for us to think about, and just so grateful for the amazing panelists that we have today. Looking at the time, I am going to ask that everyone briefly, you know, again, like I said, we already have some great knowledge, but just impart, you know, your final thoughts in, you know, a minute of, you know, any optimism for 2022 and beyond would be appreciated. any things in the pipeline for your organization. And we're going to start again with the top of the recent roll call and start with Zandy. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know. And we all need like things to be happy about, because I feel like it just gets worse every time you turn on the news. But if you're interested in supporting folks through food, I'll just say 3 high-level things from World Central Kitchen. First, we're really excited about our increased capacity to respond to climate change through the launch of our Climate Disaster Fund. This is our $1 billion commitment over the next decade to spend that money down and raise that money too. That's why we need your help to respond directly to climate disasters in the short, medium, and long term. So immediate relief and also resilience programs. 2, I'll say the expansion of our WCK Direct program, which is an outcropping of our COVID feeding. That this is a free text to order platform that folks that have been deeply impacted by the pandemic can sign up, and they can get meals for free from restaurants in their communities. It is launched in 6 cities. We're planning to launch in 6 more in the US this year. So we're very excited about continuing to support communities and families through that program. And third, I will say empowering communities that are on the front lines of climate change or on the front lines of chronic food insecurity to be able to respond and feed themselves through the launch of our culinary training program. This is where like cooking schools, restaurants, catering, anybody that's kind of in the food ecosystem in a city can actually get trained in the way that we respond to disasters, so that before we even get on the ground, communities are already starting to build that response so that they know how to cook and feed for themselves at scale. And I'll just throw in a 4th one really quick, supporting any of the other organizations that you heard here today. They're all doing amazing work, helping to make the world a little bit happier, healthier, safer for everyone. So just whatever you do, volunteer or donate somewhere, it makes a difference for someone anywhere. So thank you all so much for your time and participating in the CFC.
Thank you, Zandy. All right, Perpetua, short note to round it off.
So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for attending this event. It's really important to know all these organizations. I know you have like thousands of them, but continue giving. I mean, that's the most important part. May it be $1, may it be a penny, it makes a huge difference to all of us, all the organizations. It does not matter how much it is. It's actually the giving part, the thought of giving, the spreading the word, telling your friends and families about it. You may not be able to give, but you can do something for them. That makes a big difference. So please give and do something for them. Thank you so much for inviting us. Appreciate it.
All right, Emily.
My biggest hope for 2022 is that all of our visitors can get back to visiting. Since COVID hit, the lockdown for us, meant being able to stay home, but lockdown for incarcerated people meant being locked in a cell 24 hours a day. And it's just been really, really tough. We were given special permission to write letters, so we can kind of remain in some contact. But my hope is that all facilities are able to open safely in a way that's safe for both volunteers and those that we visit. That's my biggest hope for this year. And thank you everybody for having me.
Yes, thank you, Emily. And that is certainly a good one. All right, Scott, final thought?
Right. Well, 2022 has already become a really good year for us. The governor of West Virginia just provided a $500,000 grant under the CARES Act to Shepherd University School of Nursing to expand not only their pain clinic, but also we're finding early signs that PBM actually helps with the congestive lung conditions arising from COVID-19. So this is also going to be expanding there. We've got several major clinical trials underway dealing with COVID-19, handling the what they call the cytokine storm and the ARDS in the respiratory system. So for those people with long COVID, those people who are more susceptible to pulmonary issues, then PBM is showing promise there as well. So like with everyone else, give to each one of our organizations. There are, again, thousands of them in CFC. Everybody has their interest. And we use this money not only for the outreach and the treatments, but also when you go for grants, a lot of times it's the participation of other funding sources that help strengthen that case for the grant. So your CFC dollars help those grant applications as well. So give what you can. It's important for all of us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Scott. And for those who are internally asking, yes, there is still time for trivia. Oh, don't look. Okay, hold on. Trying to do this quick. How'd I do, Susie? Can you see the screen and not my notes?
I can see both the screen and the notes.
Oh, bummer. Okay, let me try it one more time. Let's try this one. I'm gonna try one more time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. How about now?
It's perfect.
Of course it is. All right. So thank you so much for attendees and panelists for your time and attention. So I loved everything about this this session. So this is a great one. They've all been my favorite, and this one is might be my favorite. But for those of you in attendance, if you are working, please shout out, across the room. Other people are welcome to come and play as well. We're going to be testing your knowledge of the CFC through the past 6 decades. So here are the rules. There will be 5 questions. If we have time, we might just do 3. We're going to give prizes for those who have the most questions correct. So this is the honor system. So keep track of which questions you get right. And we have some great prizes of stress balls, utensil sets, hats. So this is going to be great. All right, is everyone ready? Feel free to turn on your video if your camera ready. We want to make this interactive, and take yourself off mute. Anything you'd like to do or not is fine too. So, all right, let's begin. So President Kennedy created the CFC via executive order in 1961, 1965, 1969, 1971. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to think about it, make your notes. Which one is it? Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. 1961. All right, so President Kennedy established CFC in 1961. The decade ended with a huge step for mankind in 1969, with Neil Armstrong being the first to step foot on the moon. I'm sure we could do an entire session just on this decade alone of all the great achievements and things, but we just don't have time. I'm sorry. All right. So, and feel free, let me know in the chat, let us know, did you get that right? Guessing is fine too, but 1961. All right, I'm gonna move this along so we get a couple more in. Next one. When was the popular payroll deduction option added to the CFC? Since its inception, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. Susie might be able to sing a little bit more than me. No? All right. Choose one. 1970s. So in 1971, the CFC introduced payroll deduction, contributing to $82.9 million pledged in 1979. Woo! All right, how are we doing? Let us know in the chat. You got them all right? 1 out of 2. let us know. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 3. Which important CFC element was established in the 1980s to govern the campaign in local zones? LFCCs, outreach coordinators, CFC review board, Office of Personnel Management, or OPM? All right, you just got to pick one. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo if you have to. Answer is Local Federal Coordinating Committees, or LFCC. So these committees are very important, and with the reorganization and regulations, the 80s were a time of transformation. So the year of 1984 opened the door to even more charities by allowing any 501c3 charity to participate in the CFC. And as Perpetua mentioned, we have more than 5,000 now. So, and it keeps growing. Okay. One more real quick for all the marbles. How many regional CFC regions existed in 1999? 265, 299, 387, 551. Just pick one real quick. We're running out of time. All right, 387. It's a lot. Now we have 38 zones, and you can go to givecfc.org zone map to see all of them. All right, so yes, as Susie said, what's your score? Let us know. Okay, so we are going to stop. We made $8.5 billion since 2020, but we are going to stop the game because of time. So out of 4, now I need to hear some noise or see some messages. Out of 4, how many got all 4 correct? All 4 correct. All right, we got some messages. All right, we got 3 out of 4. Can anyone, and we're gonna have ties. Ties are fine, ties are fine. I've got lots of prizes. I wanna give them all away today. So anyone have more than 3 out of 4? Thanks, Beth, yes. Anyone have more than 3 out of 4? If not, then Beth is our first place winner. Woo! Amazing. Okay, so 3 out of 4. Who had 2 out of 4? Don't be sad, Sandy. 2 out of 4 is good. Who had, anyone else have 2 out of 4 out of the, I know, Scott, thank you for joining us. If you have to go, that's fine. I'm just trying to figure out our winners, but thank you so much to our panelists. And we will be following up on the prizes. We really appreciate everyone's time today, and please keep in mind that we only have a few days left of the CFC campaign. So it ends on the 15th. Get in your pledges, volunteer hours, that $5 donation, everything counts and makes a difference. So thank you so much. And thank you all change makers for making the world a better place. So take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.